Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the legal system to demystify a process that, honestly, we've all heard of, but very few of us truly understand: the bail bond system. We are going to look way past that flashy exterior you see in the movies to examine the relentless, completely unsung administrative engine that actually powers this entire industry.
Okay, let's dive into this. We've all seen the courtroom dramas on TV, right? The scene usually goes exactly like this. The judge bangs the gavel, declares some massive dollar amount for bail, and boom, the camera cuts away. But what actually happens to a person who needs to secure their temporary freedom right after that exact moment? There's this whole hidden machinery that kicks into gear the second that gavel falls. It's not as simple as just, handing over a briefcase full of cash. To really grasp how people navigate this super stressful moment, we've got to understand the specific tools at their disposal. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it busts one of the biggest legal myths out there. People use the words bail and bond interchangeably all the time, but they are absolutely not the same thing. Bail is the actual monetary amount set by the court. It's literally the price tag placed on a defendant's temporary release from custody before their trial. A bond, on the other hand, is a specific legal contract. This is provided by a bail bond company, and it serves as this strict, ironclad guarantee to the court that the full bail amount will be paid if the defendant just fails to show up for their court date. Understanding this distinction is kind of the foundation for everything we're looking at today.
So, why do we even need these bond contracts? Well, when a defendant looks at that massive total bail amount set by the judge, they almost always find they can't afford to just pay it in full out of pocket. And that is exactly where a bail bond agent steps in to provide some incredibly crucial financial assistance. When a defendant goes to an agent for help, they typically only pay a percentage of that total bail amount as a fee. Usually, we're looking at around 10%. In exchange for that 10%, the bail bond agent issues the bond to the court and actually assumes the massive financial liability if the defendant decides to skip town.
And because of that immense financial liability, the bail bond agent has some seriously high-stakes duties. They are the outward-facing financial backers of the whole operation. Before they even agree to help, they have to carefully assess the risk associated with that individual. To protect themselves, they'll often require collateral, stuff like property or valuable assets from the defendant or their family. Then they issue the bond to the court, taking on all that risk. And if the absolute worst happens and the defendant violates their release conditions and skips court, well, the agent is the one who actually employs professional bounty hunters to track them down. So yeah, just like the movies, but honestly with a whole lot more paperwork and way less dramatic background music.
Let's move to and see how this builds into our next section, the unsung hero, the bail bond clerk.
Now, while the agent might be the face of the operation, taking on all that financial risk, they definitely are not operating in a vacuum. Looking at this side-by-side dynamic reveals a pretty stark reality. The agent relies entirely on the complex machinery operated by the clerk. While the agent is out there assessing risk, dealing with collateral, and, worrying about bounty hunters, the clerk is handling a massive administrative burden. They're processing the paperwork, meticulously verifying legal compliance, and maintaining the vast records required to keep the whole business legal and functional. The flashy financial side of the business literally cannot exist with a heavily structured administrative side holding it all together.
And this brilliantly illustrates the high-stakes administrative puzzle required to actually secure a person's release. It demands a meticulous step-by-step workflow. Step 1, the clerk has to organize and prepare all the intricate bond documents. Step 2, they verify all the defendant's information, and let me tell you, a single mistake here could jeopardize everything. Step 3, they confirm absolute compliance with some really strict legal requirements. And finally, Step 4, they act as the central communication hub, coordinating smoothly between the bail company itself, the local courts, and law enforcement agencies. It is quite the delicate balancing act of communication and precision.
But I really want to emphasize that this is far beyond just, pushing paperwork across a desk. The bail bond clerk is the ultimate safeguard of the agency. Because the bail industry involves huge sums of money and highly sensitive legal freedoms, it is incredibly heavily regulated. The clerk is responsible for maintaining completely accurate financial records of every single fee paid by a defendant. They're also the ones verifying adherence to all those regulatory guidelines. They make sure that every single dollar is accounted for and every rule strictly adheres to legal standards. This is what protects both the agency and the defendant from disastrous legal consequences.
Now, what makes this administrative engine even more impressive is the actual environment it operates in. As sources from Frank Calabretta's Bail House point out, the need for bail doesn't exactly wait for convenient business hours. Arrests happen around the clock. Because of this, bail bond agencies run as a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operation. That means this complex administrative engine literally never sleeps. You've got clerks coordinating with courts and law enforcement, verifying crucial details, and processing these high-stakes releases at 2 in the afternoon and at 2 in the morning.
It perfectly highlights this behind-the-scenes synergy. Let me share this exact quote from industry experts. While bail bond agents facilitate the release of defendants by providing financial assistance, bail bond clerks handle administrative tasks. Together, both individuals work to make certain the bail bond process runs smoothly. This synergy right here is exactly why families in crisis are actually able to navigate such a daunting legal landscape. The financial backing of the agent, when you pair it with the administrative precision of the clerk, well, it creates a vital bridge to temporary freedom during an incredibly difficult time.
I want to leave you with this thought. We so often focus on the judge, the lawyers, or even the bounty hunters when we think of the criminal justice system. But when the gavel falls, who are the real movers and shakers securing freedom in our legal system? It's the people meticulously verifying the details at 3 in the morning. It's the administrators coordinating between the jailhouse and the courthouse. So the next time you hear about bail being posted, take a quick moment to appreciate the relentless, unsung administrative engine that actually makes it happen. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions and keep learning.